Welcome back to my statistics tutorials using Excel. In this video, we're going to take a look at calculating the weighted mean using Excel. As far as I know, there are not any built-in functions or anything in the data analysis tool pack that does this automatically for us. In class, I'll go into a little bit more detail on calculating weighted means, but for right now, I'll give you the gist of it really quickly. So in general, we have some sort of category of something. I'm using grades as an example because lots of professors use weighted means. So the categories that I have are the assignment category, the quizzes, the tests. For all intents and purposes, these could be products that you're selling or something like that. The variable X right here, in this case, since I'm using a classroom or grading experience, is going to reflect like the average score for all this individual's assignments throughout the course of the semester. And then the 81 for quizzes is the average score for all of the quizzes. And then the tests are the average score for all the tests throughout the course of the semester. Again, it could be pretty much anything in that category, but these are the number of times we observe this value X for the respective categories right there. The weights reflect a percentage of that total. So the weights can be calculated a number of different ways. We're not going to get into calculating the weights, but typically a grading scale might look like this. The weight for the assignment is 20%. We have to express that as a decimal value because we're going to do a mathematical operator on that. And then the weight for the quizzes is 30%, and then the weight for the tests is 50%. And one of the things that we have to verify with the weights is that all of these weights add up to be 1 or 100% if they're written out as percentages. So in order to calculate the weighted average, what we're going to do is we're going to take the value of X and we're going to multiply it by its respective weight. And since there's not a function built into Excel that I know of or anything in the data analysis tool pack that does this automatically, we have to write our own equation or function in order to put it in here. So I'm going to click in this cell right here in cell D2. And remember, whenever we write a function, we're going to start off with the equal sign. And then the easiest way to do this is after you have the equal, you just click in the cell that you want to start with. So I'm going to start with this value of 90. And then the multiplication sign is really kind of this this star button. It's above the number 8, so shift in number 8 gives you the star button to do that. That's going to signify multiplication. And then the value that I want to multiply that by is the weight, so I'm going to click on there. You can see in Excel that it color codes the cell names with the cells that we're using. So all we're going to do is take this value and multiply it by its weight. And when you hit enter, it's going to automatically calculate the value, but if you click in the cell, you'll see the actual equation in there. Now there's a number of different ways that you can type in values in these cells. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this really quickly and really easy, but this value of 18 is not the weighted mean right there. That's the proportion of the weighted mean for this assignment category. We still have to calculate those for the quizzes and the tests. And the easiest way to do this is, if you notice there's a little square down in the right corner of the cell. If you simply click on that square and drag those cells down to the bottom, it's going to repeat that same format of an equation for these next two cells, or the format of a function. And if you click out and click back in, if you double click on it, it's going to show you that it's taking 81, this value in B3 right here, and multiplying it by 0.30, the value or the weight in C3. And if you want to double check for the third and final cell right there, you can see that it has B4 times C4 right there, and that's calculating that proportion of the weight. So again, we're not at the weighted mean just yet. So I'm going to label this. I'm going to say this is the weighted mean, and I'll give it a little bit more room so we can see that label right there. And in order to calculate the weighted mean, I'm going to simply take these values and add those up. So there's a number of ways that you can do this. If you want to use formulas now, you can go into the formulas area, and you don't even have to go to the pull down. If you just click up here, it's going to be the auto sum. It's going to sum those things up above it. Generally, it'll select all the numbers. Now you should double check and make sure it grabbed only the values that you want in order to calculate this. And so I'm summing D2 through D4, and when I hit enter, that is going to give me my weighted mean, and the weighted mean would be 80.8, and that would be in terms of a percentage, since these are actually percent values right there without the percent sign for the value of X, and then the weights are the proportion or the percentage that each of those categories take on. So hopefully this gives you an idea of how to calculate the weighted mean. Unfortunately, there's not a formula that does it automatically for us, so we have to write the formula, and then we have to use the sum to find the weighted mean at the very end of it. So hopefully this video helps you out with that. If you do have questions, just see me in class.